Welcome to ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy. Spider-Man No Way Home was awesome, but I can't help but feel a little disappointed about Venom. We were all so excited when he was transported into the MCU, only for Eddie to spend all that time in a bar in Mexico.
We are leaving.
Now, we didn't get the anticipated Spider-Man vs. Venom crossover that we all wanted to see, but there is still hope thanks to the post-credit scene for No Way Home. Because just before Eddie was sent back to his universe, some little black goo was left behind. And that could change everything, because the symbiote is now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that means so much for Spider-Man's future. Now we can have a whole new Venom in the MCU, and we will finally get to see that crossover. I have some ideas on Venom's story in the next Spider-Man movie, but also who could be the MCU's Venom and how it could be a totally different version from what we've already seen.
80 billion light years of hive knowledge across universes would explode your tiny little brain.
So, while Spider-Man and the other two Spider-Men were off fighting villains, Eddie was just chilling in Mexico. Just as Eddie decided that maybe he should go find Spider-Man, he was sent back to his original universe along with all the other villains. So much for the Spider-Man vs. Venom crossover. I guess we have to settle for Venom vs. Morbius.
I am Venom.
Yeah. But a little chunk of Venom was left behind, and that little goo is likely how we're going to get Venom in the MCU. As it was established in Let There Be Carnage, the symbiotes share a hive mind that they can access across the multiverse. So while Venom is back in his universe, in theory, he can access the symbiote that he left behind. So that little goo is sentient. Remember, all it took was a little chunk of Venom to create Carnage.
He did not taste good.
Now, since the symbiote's whole thing is to bond with hosts, that bartender could be our new Venom. I doubt it. Or at least, I hope not. Nothing against the dude. I like him. He's in Ted Lasso.
Football is life! Na 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 na.
But I really hope that the MCU's Venom will be someone else. Either a variant of Eddie Brock or someone else who became Venom in the comics. In fact, we want this new Venom to be Agent Venom. It'll be a good way to separate the Sony Venom and the MCU Venom. But also, Agent Venom is just a badass. And we have some ideas on who can be the host for Agent Venom. But first we want to talk about the most likely host for Venom, and that's Spider-Man.
Wait, excuse me?
Now let's be honest, that's something we all want to see. Spider-Man in the black suit. We sort of got two black suits in these movies, but nothing beats the black suit.
Wow. This feels good.
Honestly, we had so many suits at this point that I'm just happy that Spider-Man is back to the classic red and blue tights.
All right, let's get to work.
Say, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
What's that certificate?
This? Oh, it just certifies that I own 1 square foot of land in Scotland, which, according to Scottish custom, allows me to have the title of Lord or Lady.
You got it, Lord person.
Thank you. I acquired this land through Established Titles, the sponsor of this video. My land is on a private nature reserve in Ardeleigh, Aberdeenshire, and helps preserve the woodlands of Scotland. That's the cool thing about this certification. It isn't just a novelty gift, it helps to protect the woodlands of Scotland. With every order, they plant trees all over the world through their charity partners One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. You get this certificate, an official crest, and a unique plot number so you can see the exact location of your land. Then you will be allowed to officially change your name to Lord or Lady, and you can have this on your credit cards or plane tickets. It also makes for a terrific last-minute gift. I mean, just look at some of these reactions.
Lord Kenneth Delane Albert.
All right, hey, look at that. You will be calling me Lord! Lord Joe Green. Yes!
So, if you're interested in classing up your title and helping the environment, click the link in the description and enter our discount code for a 10% discount. Now is the perfect time because they're having a big holiday sale, up to 80% off. And this discount code gets you an additional 10% off. Back to Spider-Man. Spider-Man was the first character to wear the symbiote suit in the comics. He found it in space during the events of Secret Wars. But obviously, things are going to play out differently in the movies. The last thing that Eddie wanted before he was beamed back to his world was to go and find Spider-Man in New York. And that intention might have transferred into this new baby Venom. Doctor Strange's spell erased Peter from everyone's memory, but thanks to the hive mind, baby Venom will remember Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Baby Venom will make his way to New York, probably by hopping from one host to the next, and eventually bond with Peter, likely bringing the worst out of him because of his mental state at the end of this movie. Peter just lost Aunt May, and we saw the ramifications of that. He beat the Green Goblin like a drum. Peter was so angry and he wanted revenge. He was going to kill Norman Osborn. If not for Peter number 2, he would have finished the job. So we saw Peter Parker's dark side. And that's something that just doesn't go away. In his darkest moment, after losing May, Peter had his friends and the other Peters to anchor him and help him through his grief. But now, he's all alone. No one even knows who he is. It's as if Peter Parker has never existed in this universe. So that is the perfect time for Venom to bond with him and feed on this darkness and anger. Actually, you know what? Sony, listen up. We're about to pitch you Spider-Man 4.
Hold on to your butts.
So, after almost killing the Green Goblin, Peter has anxiety about losing control again. He's afraid that he'll go back to that dark place and kill someone. He's now back to just being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man dealing with street-level conflicts in New York. And guess who's also back? The Kingpin.
Well, that's the guy I've been worried about this whole time. Kingpin.
Hawkeye brought Wilson Fisk back to the MCU, and with Matt Murdock appearing in No Way Home, I bet it's only a matter of time till Spider-Man crosses paths with the Kingpin. Now, as Spider-Man will interfere in the business of Wilson Fisk, the big guy will hire someone to kill him, and that someone is Kraven the Hunter.
Spiders are revered as hunters, but you have proven to be easy prey.
Now, we actually got a glimpse of Kraven when the multiverse was opening up in the movie, which is Sony's way to tease their Kraven movie. And by the way, Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played Quicksilver, is going to be Sony's Kraven. The movie is going to be inspired by the iconic Kraven's Last Hunt story from the comics, which, surprise surprise, includes Spider-Man in the black suit. So, in the fourth film, Kraven will hunt down Spider-Man. Peter will struggle with his new life, being completely alone, while also fearing his own inner rage. Peter will be in this vulnerable mental state, and that is when the Venom symbiote will bond with him. The black suit will give him an edge against Kraven and Kingpin, but the symbiote will bring out the worst in Peter. So this Venom symbiote will represent the manifestation of Peter's dark side. At some point in the movie, Peter will lose control while wearing the black suit.
I told you, I give up. That's funny. I give up too. I give up trying to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
So he will understand that he must get rid of the suit before he kills someone. And maybe then the symbiote will bond with Kraven, and that's just so badass. So yeah, a darker, more grounded Spider-Man 4. Make it happen, Sony. But in case this doesn't happen, I really want to see Agent Venom. In the comics, there was a point when the government got their hands on the symbiote. They intended to create a new super soldier, but instead of using the super serum, they turned soldiers into Venom. Flash Thompson, who was a soldier in the comics, was bonded with the symbiote, and that's how we got Agent Venom. And I think we'll get something like that in the MCU, but with some major changes from the comics. So the symbiote is out there, and sooner or later the government will capture it. I think that it will be the same secret department for which Valentina Allegra de Fontaine works for. Maybe they are led by Thunderbolt Ross. So the government is creating their own superheroes like US Agent, and they might also be working with the Department of Damage Control, who've been kind of collecting all kinds of tech and weapons that the government can then use for themselves. This all fits because I am 100% sure the government is going to create the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers. So they will capture the symbiote and do all kinds of experiments on it, and eventually they're going to create Agent Venom.
Agent Venom, reporting for duty. Yeah! Bring it! Yeah!
The question is, who's going to be the host? Flash Thompson is Agent Venom in the comics, but I don't think that he will be the MCU's Agent Venom.
Sup, penis, Parker?
Flash is an arrogant a-hole, but he's more of a rich, entitled a-hole, and nothing like he is in the comics. Agent Venom needs to be a badass. To me, Flash becoming Agent Venom is sort of the same thing as the Venom from Spider-Man 3.
Hey, Parker.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Flash's parents will send him to the military to straighten him up and that'll change his personality. But I doubt it. But we do have another option, and that is Mac Gargan. When we met him in Spider-Man Homecoming, it's established that he's a really bad guy who wants to kill Spider-Man. And also, Michael Mando is such a good actor, I really hope they bring him back. In the comics, Mac Gargan is known for being the Scorpion, but he also became Venom for a long time. When he was bonded with the symbiote, Venom was in total control, doing some really nasty, evil things. Also, when he was Venom, Mac Gargan did join both the Thunderbolts and the Dark Avengers. So he is the most likely candidate. I can totally see the government offering him a get-out-of-jail-free card in exchange for bonding with Venom. But there is one caveat here, and it's that Agent Venom ends up being an anti-hero, not a full-fledged psycho-villain. Mac Gargan is described as a sociopath, and I don't think he's going to work as an anti-hero.
You know, take a picture, slice his throat, put his head in a dryer.
I still see him as the first Agent Venom, but eventually the black suit will need to go to someone who's a bit more stable. And that brings us back to Eddie Brock. Eddie was sent back to his universe, but maybe there's a different Eddie in Spider-Man's universe, sort of like how there were multiple J. Jonah Jamesons. But the new Eddie isn't a reporter, but a soldier, like Flash in the comics. So Venom will naturally search for this other Eddie because he knows him through the hive mind, and he'll bond with him. And through the hive mind connection, he will just give new Eddie all the memories of old Eddie. And just as simple as that, we have Tom Hardy in the MCU without all that multiverse hassle. And I can totally see Tom Hardy as Agent Venom. That'll be so badass.
Crossovers in universes that, I care about. And then I would be remiss not to, and I'd absolutely want to get involved in that, 100%.
Also, thanks to the upcoming multiverse conflict, there's always the chance that Eddie Brock will somehow make his return to Spidey's universe once again. Maybe Venom can somehow transport himself thanks to the hive mind. It seems unlikely, but anything is possible when the multiverse goes mad. Let's be honest, it doesn't matter who's the host or even if it's going to be Agent Venom or just Venom, we just want to see Spider-Man versus Venom. And I'm sure that one way or another, Sony is going to make this crossover happen. I mean, they probably want to do it even more than the fans.
But you never know when Spider-Man is going to end up interacting with Venom because that's inevitable.
And then there's the cosmic side of the MCU. In recent years, Marvel has made some massive changes to the symbionts, especially their creation. Venom actually belongs to a race of symbionts called the Clintar. They were created by this ancient god called Knull. Knull existed before the universe itself. Then the Celestials showed up and began creating life in the universe, which back then was nothing more than empty dark space.
Long before the birth of light, there was darkness.
Now Knull considered this space as his kingdom, so naturally he saw the cosmic gods as his enemies, which makes Knull the enemy of all life, in a way. From the darkness, Knull created the first symbiont, the powerful sword, All Black. With this sword, Knull cut off the head of a Celestial. Yes, a symbiote sword was that powerful. This severed head will later become Nowhere. Later, Knull used Nowhere to create the Clintar species. So that makes Knull the god of Venom and all other symbionts. Now at some point, Knull lost the All Black and the sword was transferred to Gore the God Butcher. And, what do you know, Gore is the main villain in Thor Love and Thunder. And I'm pretty sure he'll be using the All Black.
Does it come in black?
All of this is setting up Knull as a major threat in the MCU, especially after the events of the Eternals. So here's how we think this is all going to play out in the MCU and how Venom ties into it. So Knull's origin will be mostly the same in the movies. Let's say that after losing the All Black, the Celestials imprison Knull somewhere. But then, after Thor defeats the God Butcher, the All Black will travel back to its creator and free him from his prison. Once that happens, Knull will unleash an attack on the universe with an army of symbionts, all of them under his control, thanks to the hive mind. But there will be one symbiont that won't be under his control, and that's Venom. Maybe because Venom will form a powerful bond with his host, and thanks to that, he'll be able to resist the influence of Knull. So that means that when Knull attacks the universe, Venom will be integral to fighting the symbiont god and his army. Venom will use the hive mind to free the symbionts from Knull, and together they destroy him. So in the end, Venom could be one of the MCU's biggest heroes.
Together we are the Lethal Protector!
So yes, the addition of Venom to the MCU gives us so much potential for cool stories. Well, these are just some of our ideas, but how do you think Venom fits into the MCU? Who's going to be our new Venom? Let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.